made videos in the past about coming back from injury, and this video today is going to be a little bit more about how to maintain your strength, possibly get a little bit stronger with a certain type of injury. And this doesn't necessarily pertain to any which one individual, but I'll try to use some examples as we go along just to make things a little bit easier to understand. The first thing really is knowing really what's wrong and finding out what hurts. For instance, if it's when you're bench pressing and it's your bicep tendon, so right up here, and if it's when you do a wider grip or something like that, and if that's what aggravates it, then obviously you probably really shouldn't do it. After that, really what it comes down to is making a list of the possible things that you can do. So for instance, if you can keep that grip, but you can do instead a board press or a bench block or something like that, where you limit the range of motion a little bit but still maintain that grip and it doesn't cause as much stress on that bicep tendon and whatnot. That might be a good way to continue either keeping your strength or maybe even make progress until that's a little bit more healed up. Another thing would just be maybe close grip bench doesn't feel quite as bad, or working with dumbbells where you might be able to turn it a different way so there's not quite as much strain on it. Those are all just a few examples of things you might be able to do without having some pain. So essentially, right now you want to make a list of all the different movements and variations of your main movement that you can do without having any sort of discomfort or pain. And then once you have that list, you basically have to find ways to make it harder, whether that be adding load, maybe you're going to do isometric holds or something like that, or pause work, or slow eccentric portions of the movement, or just tempo training in general. These are all really great ways to have a little bit of progression, make these lifts a little bit more difficult to you without necessarily putting you any more at risk. For instance, let's say you're doing a board press or something like that, but you can only get up to a certain threshold weight-wise without it starting to hurt that bicep tendon again. So one of the things you might do is maybe stay at that weight, and instead of upping it, you end up pausing it on the chest, or you do a 4-second negative, 2-second positive, or something like that as far as your movements goes. This will I'm not a really big fan of time under tension training normally, but in the case of you being injured, this is a nice way of adding a little bit of extra difficulty to the lift and a little bit of a way for you to progress even with an injury. Pretty much after that, what you gotta do is you have to address the injury itself. So maybe while you're doing all these different types of movements, you need to figure out, what can I do for myself that necessarily makes us feel better, whether it's something like going to a chiropractor, deep tissue massage, Epsom salt baths, maybe some anti-inflammatories, icing, or maybe even do a little bit of rehab type work. Just do a little bit of something that may be slightly uncomfortable. You don't want to have it go to that point where it's actually in pain, but you don't want that scar tissue to build up wherever it is. So just work it through a range of motion that would normally hurt with extremely light loads, and just try to find a way to improve what you think the problem itself may be. After that, once you feel healthy in general, and this could just be as much as, just day to day, doing my normal routine, not necessarily lifting wise or anything like that. I feel normal, I can't really feel any pain. This might be a good time to start jumping back into that regular movement. Now, where people make a lot of big mistakes as far as this goes is they tend to jump the gun. So a lot of people end up doing something along the lines of, like maybe I'll jump into my regular hypertrophy block, so maybe 68 to 70% of what I was normally doing. Keep in mind that to some extent in that limited range of motion, you may have developed a little bit of weakness from not working those at all, so it's going to have a little bit more strain on you than it normally would. Not on top of that, you are still at risk to injury because you haven't really done a lot of work to really build up that movement again. Granted, it's probably going to come back a lot faster than you think which is obviously a good thing, but don't try to rush it too much. I would recommend maybe doing anywhere from like 35 to 40% just for a little bit, just to gauge where you're at, and then maybe just bump up the weight 5% each week. That's what I would do personally, until you're back doing what you normally can. Obviously, listen to your body. If it's hurting you, you might have to pull back a little bit, but keep doing whatever else you were doing to maintain that strength or gain a little bit in whatever way that you could, and then try to work your regular movement back in. That's all I got for you guys today. In the meantime, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys on Friday.